I'm Erin's Story, and this is for my Communications 101 class. Sammy is going to show you my audience. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about 3-day eventing. And I want to first have you guys imagine something. Imagine that the air is crisp, you're outside, you're bundled up in warm clothing, and you have a protective vest on that makes you feel really tight. And you can take deep breaths, and as you breathe you can feel the almost cage-like feel against your skin. And you take a long walk on your horse to the start gate, and you think to yourself, am I crazy? I have to wear a protective vest to do this. It's actually one of the rules, it's part of this competition, to wear a protective vest. And you get to the start box, and you start to walk around in a circle, and as you're walking around, the starter tells you, you have 30 seconds. And you think, 30 seconds? That's an eternity. I can do so many things in 30 seconds. What am I going to do? And as you keep walking around, he starts to count down even more. 10, 9, 8, and you know you have to get in the box. And pretty soon you're going to have to go. And then you're going to have a lot on your mind. And the adrenaline starts pumping. And your heart is beating. And it gets to 2, 1. That's a glimpse into what it's like from the start box. And we'll go on and tell you more about what it means to be in the start box. First, we're going to start with the explanation of all 3 phases of eventing. 3 phases, 2 hearts, 1 passion. You and your horse, and you both are thrilled to be there. So, 3-day eventing is really considered, one of the sayings that people say is it's 3 days, 3 ways. And eventing was initially an event for cavalry horses and officers to compete in. And it tested kind of all the things that you would experience in battle. And the French referred to it as the complete equestrian competition. It's also considered a military test. And one of the things about it is it became an Olympic sport in 1912. And some of you may have seen it as an Olympic sport on the TV recently. So the 3 phases are dressage, and the French term for that is training. And then that requires precision, elegance, and obedience. Next is cross-country phase, and that's where we're talking about the start box. And this requires the endurance and courage from both rider and horse. And show jumping is the fitness and grace of the horse mainly. So before I go on to that specifically into each discipline, we're going to talk about, I wanted to talk about this today really to show my coworkers what I do on long weekends that I take off over the summer, because I know you guys all think I'm crazy to do that, and I kind of wanted to show you what I do and why I love it so much. And then I also wanted to tell you, I really enjoy this because I've ridden all my life, and I consider myself a 3-day eventer. And a lot of the information that I put in this slide comes from experience, but also comes from research that I did. I use the United States Equestrian Federation website. I also use the United States Eventing Association's website. And also the FEI is the one who makes the regulated rules for eventing, and that stands for Federation Equestrienne Internationale. So, phase 1, day 1, is dressage. It's one of the hardest parts of the competition that we do. And basically, it's the ballet of the horse. You guys have all seen like the Lipizaners perform before. It goes back to Spanish training, cavalry training. And it tests the obedience of the horse. It tests the willingness of them, their suppleness, and their responsiveness. And this is a judged test, where you get judged by a judge at the end of the arena, and each movement is scored from 1 to 10. So if you mess up on a movement, it's okay, because there's about 20 other movements in the test that you can redeem yourself. And then that test is calculated into a percentage, and that's what starts your score for the show. And you want to start with a low percentage, and then you move from there. So then we move on to phase 2. So this would be on day 2 of the competition. Remember, we're 3-day eventing, so 3 days. The cross-country part of this event is what replicates the battlefield, basically. And this requires courage, speed, and stamina from the horse and rider. And this is where we're talking about for the start box. And basically, this part of the competition is 20 solid fences over a couple of miles, and it's a timed event. And this gets scored by basically the courage of your horse. So if you have a refusal or a run out or something like that, 20 points gets added to your score. So it makes a big difference to your score. Most riders and horse injuries happen during this phase. 7 riders suffered fatal accidents in FEI competitions in the past 8 years, with more than 3.3 million cross-country fences jumped. So that's a really low number compared to what it used to do, and the FEI is the one who starts regulating this to make this a more safer phase. Next is the final test, and that's the show jumping phase. And basically these are just lightweight rails that we have to jump a course of to show that the horse is still fit and supple as the same as when we started on day 1, now that they've had 2 full days of riding. So this is the final test of the competition. And then this is scored similarly. If a rail is dropped, if a horse knocks a rail, you get 4 points added to your score. So you want to end on a low score. So basically, that summarizes the 3 full phases of eventing. You have your dressage, your cross country, and your show jumping. And I want to take you back to the start box. So the start box starter says go, and your heart just starts pounding, and you kick your horse out of the start box, and they just start galloping towards the first fence. And your first fence is that real determination of does my horse have courage? Am I on game today? And now after the first fence and he jumps it solidly, you know you're good to go.